Make room for Javi.
Welcome to my Project Today video, where I explain a project or tell a story each day for a year, and I attempt to complete my shop. This is day 60 of 365, and today's project is ceiling insulation 13 of 44. Now I checked the clearance of the garage door, and I've got a full 6 inches above the door when it's all rolled up. Technically, I could put another sheet from that C channel to the next purlin. However, it's impossible to get in there with a drill, and I'm not taking that garage door off just to insulate. So what I'm going to do is use rigid board insulation. Take the measurements, cut them, and place them. This is my failures as a carny. Mistake number 4, the South Florida Fair. Now, Santa's finally rolled around for me, and I had a few things going for me. It was quite a unique crowd and nothing like a county fair crowd. They knew the product, and they knew the joint. It had been there for years. It was tradition to get a family big chair photo. New young couples loved getting the photos on t-shirts in their visit. Everything was too good. I paid most of the concession loan off that first year, while Santa's income continually dropped year after year until I was in the red and dumped the concession 15 years later. That first year gave me a lot of promise. Now, I wasn't about to travel around the carnival circuit like many others do. After all, I had a home and family. But upon hearing of that large fair only an hour away in January, I signed up. I paid for a concession spot for the giant chair and for one other great idea of mine. At Santa's, this artist that designed many of the sets year-round got a free spot of his own in this little concession. He would buy styrofoam panels and with a hot wire cut them into hearts and letters and make custom signs painted with various color or glitter and sell them like nobody's business. Based on his business, I took one of my tents, bought a bunch of 3/4 by 4 by 8 sheets of styrofoam, used my own laser engraver to cut out hearts, letters, all the supplies that I would need, so it would be a turnkey system. While that other guy cut them out manually and people had to wait for them, I'd have everything, so I just have to assemble it and paint it, and you're done. With a glue gun, add glue, colored glitter, and Bob's your uncle. Easier said than done. How did it all go? Well, I partnered up with a fellow concessionaire who did airbrush and helped me set up the samples. 2 of his relatives manned the booth. What a huge mistake. These weren't employees. They were true carnies in the worst sense of the word. My first mistake was hiring them. My second was not keeping a closer eye on them. I never saw a dime coming in. They said they had no sales, and rather than finding solutions, everything was an issue and a problem. They were both chain smokers, and half the time they weren't in the booth. Thanks to my arrangement with Keith, I took care of the material costs and the $2,000 entrance fee, and he took care of the employees. It opened on a Thursday. That Monday, he was asking me to lend money to cover the employees. I told him honestly that I didn't have any money because they didn't sell anything, and he asked me what we should do. I said, close it down, send them home, and leave the display up for show. Later, I found out that my partner had always been hooked on meth and Oxycontin. I'm glad I got out when I did. But that wasn't the worst of it. I hired a guy, Angel, to run the big chair booth. He'd run it before at Santa's, but this time I had to pay a flea bag motel for them. Let me tell you about the motel. I saw a bunch of rolled copper wire behind a door when we walked in. I asked him what the heck that was about, which he informed me it was for a crack pipe. I didn't understand and just went home, left him in charge of the giant chair. I was informed that he wasn't there half the time, and there were very few customers to boot. My friends, the caricature crew, would monitor the booth for me as they were next door when I wasn't there. After the second weekend of the show, I sent him home as well. I manned both booths myself and hung out with my caricature friends until the show's end. Picked up everything, only losing $2,000 in Angel's initial payroll and all the materials and my time after everything. I'm sure he probably sold some photos and pocketed the money himself, but by that time I just wanted to get rid of them and go home. But I must say, of the 16 years I spent in the carnival business, aside from those 4 occasions that first year and a half, and I would call that a learning experience, everything was fantastic. I made a lot of friends, did a lot of people watching, brought home a fair amount of money, and am all the wiser for it these days.
Make room for Javi.